This week, we want to share with you our muddy, rainy, fantastic day of planting flower bulbs at Topaz Farm. We love flower bulbs for a few reasons. First, they're just plain fun to plant. Many of them look kind of like a small onion or a clove of garlic. And second, they grow into beautiful flowers, but you have to be patient. When thinking about bulb planting, this chart is a great place to start. It shows how deep to plant different flower bulbs and when you can expect them to bloom. All of the bulbs that we planted at Topaz Farm are on this chart and will bloom at different times next spring. We planted our flower bulbs in this long stretch of soil. Our first step, like always, was to measure our space. It was a little trickier than normal because we were planting 5 different types of flowers and because we wanted to plant them evenly so that they look nice and neat when they bloom. After we figured out which section each flower was going in, we placed all the bulbs down on the soil so that we knew they were spaced evenly. Once we had all our bulbs laid out, it was time to plant them. This is where our chart comes back in. In the front, we planted tulips, which should be placed 6 inches deep and will bloom mid-spring. That's what all these bulbs are. Next, we planted daffodils, which are also 6 inches deep and should bloom just before the tulips. Next is the most fun flower to say, ranunculus. These bulbs are smaller, so you only have to plant them 3 inches deep. They'll bloom early spring. And last was hyacinth, which are back to 6 inches deep and will bloom after ranunculus in the early spring. Alicia and the Portland State students are planting ranunculus and hyacinth at the end here. We planted the allium bulbs along the center of the row. If you look closely, you can see them here. Allium will be the last flower to bloom in late spring. Wow, that's a lot of flowers. Thanks for learning along with us, and be sure to drop by Topaz in the spring to see them all in bloom. See you next week.